Welcome, Tucson Unified Community, to our second edition of District 1, the podcast, with Dr. Trujillo, the superintendent of the school district. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of subjects that Dr. Trujillo will tell you about. If you missed our first episode, he spoke about the guidelines for students' rights and responsibilities, and you can find that podcast at www.soundcloud, one word, /Tucson Unified. So go ahead and look that one up and catch up on that. And Dr. Trujillo, what do you want to talk about today?
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back, and I'm excited for our second episode of District 1. This week, I wanted to talk to everybody about two topics that I'm frequently asked about. The first one is our initiative to install surveillance cameras, main entry surveillance cameras, and keyless entry systems at the remaining 51 schools that don't currently have these systems. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the district's former 27-to-1 initiative and what that means. These are a couple of items that I'm frequently asked about, and sometimes there's some miscommunication out there. So I'm very excited to be able to speak to those two items this week.
I know that safety is a big concern for our campuses, and so the governing board recently approved the installation of some of those security systems. Can you tell us about what the systems contain?
Absolutely. So I want to thank our governing board for approving an expenditure sufficient enough to pay for the purchase and installation of keyless entry boxes and main entrance surveillance cameras in 51 of our schools that don't currently have that resource. Now, in 39 of our schools, if you visit a school, you'll see that guests that arrive at the campus are required to quote-unquote buzz in, or if they're an employee, they can swipe their ID card and they're able to get in the front door. This allows the front office staff to identify all possible guests and to make a decision as to whether people coming in are appropriate to visit the school. The situation as it stands now is we have several schools that don't have this resource, and it does present somewhat of a safety risk. So it's going to help us really control and be able to identify who has access to the campus and who doesn't. There will be, as part of this package, there will be a camera that will be mounted at the main entrance of the schools that will transmit images to a monitor in the front office, which allows front office staff to constantly scan the main entrance environment for possible threats or to identify the appropriateness of anybody seeking to enter the school.
And what about kids? How do they get in? And parents? Does this lock system start once school starts, or how is the free flow of getting in and out of school at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day go?
The main entrance will be locked right after the first morning bell where kids actually go into class. It's that point where instruction begins during the first period of the day, or when that first bell rings, that we really essentially want our campuses locked down and secure.
I was just wondering if kids were going to have to keep track of cards to get in, which would probably be a problem, especially for the little ones.
Yes. Correct, but the key cards are mostly for our employees.
And so once these 51, I think you said, are installed, will all of our schools have at least this minimum security system?
All of our schools would have this minimal security system at their main entrances. What this does not do is install keyless entry systems at every single door and every single entrance point in every single school. But to be able to say that the main entrance of every single one of these schools is going to be covered and gives our staff an opportunity to assess the safety and the appropriateness of visitors coming in is a huge step forward for our parents and our kids and our employees to make them feel safe. And the camera also is a recorder, so it also gives us an opportunity to go back in time to review any guests or any one of our visitors that may have accessed the campus, that may have created a disturbance somewhere in the school. We'll be able to go back in time and assess the time and point in which those individuals accessed our campus.
What's the timeline for installing these? Do we know when we should be seeing them going in at schools?
Now that our governing board has approved the expenditure, we're now moving into purchasing. We're moving in to the delivery and the installation phase. We have a very aggressive goal of being able to kick off the 2018-2019 school year with these systems installed in all 89 of our schools, which I see as honoring our commitment to parents to create a safer and a more secure Tucson Unified School District.
And I know we've been talking about safety a lot, especially since January. One of the things that we keep emphasizing that this might be a good opportunity to talk about is our hotline, our tip line, our school safety tip line that's available on our website, www.TUSD1.org, where kids, parents, teachers, anyone in a community can alert school safety to any concerns. There's a form online that you can fill out. It's just one piece, as this is, of our efforts to keep our schools safe. So go to www.TUSD1.org to find that tip line. There's a link right there on that page.
There is not a day that goes by that the safety of all of the children of the Tucson Unified School District and our employees, there's not a day that goes by that their safety is not the absolute top priority for our administration and our team.
Next, class sizes. What are you hearing about class sizes? What are we doing with our ratios for next year?
So there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of concern that class sizes are going to go up. So I wanted to explain exactly where we're at, and it's a complex explanation that I just really want to break down into 3 parts, okay? For those of you listening. The first thing that we need to understand is that we have a consensus agreement with the Tucson Education Association. That's the employee association that our governing board has recognized as the bargaining unit or the representative association that discusses working conditions with the Tucson Unified School District leadership team, the superintendent's team, right? We make recommendations to the governing board. The governing board votes to approve the consensus agreement on a yearly basis. A big part of that process is an agreement upon class sizes. So in our agreement with the Tucson Education Association, which represents all the teachers, we've agreed to class sizes of 26 for all kindergarten classrooms. For 1st through 3rd grade classrooms, the class size is 29. For all of our 4th through 6th grade classrooms, all the class sizes are set at 30. For middle school, or 7th and 8th grade, the class sizes have been set at 36. For 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, the class sizes have been set at 36. Now, does that mean that at all times, at all points of the year, we are maxed out at those class sizes in every classroom in every school? No. So, yes, we have these class sizes, but no, not always in every situation are we maxed out everywhere across the district. On the same token, are there schools in certain zones and sectors of the city and district that we are at these class sizes? Absolutely. We have really, really large schools that are popular enrollment choices in several parts of our city. We do have situations at these schools where grade levels and class sizes are maxed out. Enter 3-4 years ago a decision by the previous administration to enact what's called a 27-to-1 initiative. Now, what that means is that individual schools individual schools receive individual budgets. They're called discretionary budgets for Title I. Title I is a federal grant enacted as part of the 1964 Civil Rights Bill Act that seeks to equalize access to resources, materials, and programming for high poverty schools, specifically schools that meet the criteria for federal poverty guidelines as measured by free and reduced lunch percentages. So schools are given Title I monies. Under the 27-to-1 initiative, what used to happen was, let's take School A. School A receives its Title I money. And let's say that School A receives $60,000 of its Title I money. A percentage of that $60,000, right around 30% of it, would be held back from the school. I would be able to take 30% of that school's title money, put it into this big pool, and pay down class sizes and purchase extra teachers for those other schools that had those crowded class sizes so that those class sizes could come down. That's the easiest way to explain the 27-to-1 initiative. Now I'm going to explain what's different. What we're doing now is we're telling each individual school, your Title I money, your Title I budget is yours in its entirety. We're not holding back any money. It's your individual school's decision how you want to use that money. If you want to use that money to pay down class sizes at your individual school, you can do that. We're saying that's okay. If you're Tucson High, you get 100% of your Title I money. And that leadership team at Tucson High, they are free and clear to make a decision to use their Title I money to bring in extra teachers to bring their class sizes down. That's their choice. But they can also use their Title I money to do anything else that they want to do within the parameters of approved expenditures and allowable expenditures for Title I. They may want to bring in an extra counselor. They may want to bring in reading intervention specialists. We're now giving sites the autonomy to do that, okay?
And what other kinds of things can they spend their money on if they don't need to hire teachers to lower ratios or choose, to fulfill a need that might be more significant at their school?
They're very limited to making purchases with their Title I money in 3 categories: instruction, instructional support, and student support services. Music teachers, librarians, library assistants, counselors, deans for student support services, reading specialists, reading interventionists, math interventionists, data interventionists. These are all popular choices that schools can choose to spend their title dollars on. We also see schools choose to spend their dollars in the area of instructional support, professional development for teachers, instructional software for kids.
And have you gotten feedback from principals? Are they happy about this?
Very happy, extremely happy. A significant portion of our principals aren't really changing. They're still saying, I like what I have. I do like being able to purchase extra teachers. The principals in schools that already kind of have lower class sizes are very happy. They can now go get the reading interventionist. They can now bring in the extra counselor. They can now bring in the data interventionist. They can now bring in the librarian that they wanted. They can now start to put music education back in their schools. So we were very happy to provide those conditions for our principals once again.
So the 27-to-1 was never, you cannot have more than 27 kids in any classroom?
That was never the directive. Never the directive, no.
I think that might be part of the confusion, because I think that in some schools there has been a higher number of kids in a class, because maybe if you did not allow more than 30 kids in a high school class, then you have to tell X number that they can't take the class, or you have to open up another one and have 2 classes of 15. So I think that maybe some people think that in the past you couldn't have more than 27.
There was a lot of confusion around what 27-to-1 meant and still means, because we still do have individual schools. If I have $80,000 in Title I money and I choose to use that money to bring in 2 teachers, okay, to bring me closer to 27-to-1, that's my choice as the school principal and leadership team. We encourage principals to work with their site councils, to be collaborative with their title budgets, to work with their teacher leaders. Principals and leadership teams are still free to make those decisions.
So if you have questions about any of the topics that we've talked about today, or either of the topics that we've talked about today, or anything else going on in the district, you can send your questions to www.answers@TUSD1.org, and we will be happy to respond and get you answers to those questions. Anything else about class sizes? Will parents expect to see more kids in their child's classroom or next year?
We don't expect to see drastic changes in class sizes. I think the biggest change will be schools understanding that we have consensus class sizes that we've agreed to. That's the actual official class size for the district, and that can be found in the consensus agreement. And the 2017-2018 consensus agreement is posted on our website. If you go to Just For You and then you go into employees, you will see that we have a link for consensus agreements, and you just click on the TEA, the Tucson Education Association Consensus Agreement, and you can head into Articles 19, 20, and 21, talk about class sizes for exceptional education for students with disabilities, as well as all of our K-12 class sizes.
And what if people have ideas for how they think their school should spend their Title I money? Do they share that with the principal or PTA or site council?
I would encourage all of our teachers to always use the leadership of the site council. That's what site councils are there for. I've encouraged principals to be very collaborative and transparent with their decision making with regard to title budgets.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.